Welcome to On the Edge with J.P. Devine from Central Maine Sunday. On the Edge with J.P. Devine Audio is sponsored by Sprague & Curtis Real Estate, the largest full-service real estate brokerage in Central Maine's capital region, selling properties, helping people, getting it done. Visit their website at spragueandcurtis.com. Now here's J.P. Devine.
Three sisters waiting. I remember how calm the radio voice was. On May 8th, 1945, the words flowed out of the front of the big Zenith radio in the living room with the news. We had all been waiting to hear for months. We knew it was coming. Germany had surrendered to the Allies. Then things went soft for the summer. The air was full of news, gossip, rumors. The Japanese were holding out. The German defeat was celebrated, but for my mother, who had 4 boys in the Pacific, her sister Winnie, who had 2 soldier sons in the islands, and older sister Mamie, who had 2 sons in subs in the Pacific, the waiting would go on until the Japanese gave up. News came in daily. American subs and shippings were being sunk by the Japanese, while the sisters, cooled by their electric fans, paid attention to the radio, clutching the ends of their aprons in one hand and the rosaries in the other. My brothers were on the cruiser New Orleans, the battleship Massachusetts, and a couple of landing crafts. There was no news of those ships, no news of any kind from the Pacific. So the sisters waited, and I waited with them for 4 long years. On the sultry mornings of that last August, I helped my mother with the laundry, the dishes, bringing in the sheets and spreading them on the beds, even the 4 empty beds of the brothers. Every 2 weeks during the war, she would change the sheets on their beds, with her on one side of the bed, holding the sheet, and me holding the other side. She would say, "You never know when it's going to be over, kid." And we want their beds to be ready when they come down the street. Each day, she and her sisters, each in their kitchens, would start the morning with coffee and coffee cake and scour the papers. First of the day was the Globe Democrat. Afternoon was the Star Times. Then, before supper, the Post-Dispatch hit the porch. Imagine, 3 newspapers a day. Mom kept them stacked in a corner of the kitchen, as did her sisters. After my chores with Mom, she'd give me a quarter for the day and an extra dime because she knew I wouldn't be home till 4 o'clock at least. She never worried about me. She knew my route. I started up the street, stopping first at St. Mary and Joseph's Church to light 4 candles for my brothers. That was what the extra dime was for. Then I was off, slowly moving up Minnesota Avenue's hot sidewalks and melting streets, cutting through small fields and empty lots, tiptoeing through the many victory gardens along the way. I'd cut through Belle Reef Park to Itasca Street, to my first stop at Aunt Winnie's. I would sit with her for a bit or help her bring in some vegetables from her victory garden. Then I would be on my way up Itasca to Pennsylvania Avenue and Aunt Mamie's house. But before I left, Winnie'd have me check the iron mailbox on the porch banister. Nothing today. By that time of day, Mamie was sitting on the swinging bench on her front porch, reading the paper. A plate of fried chicken in her lap, a beer in her hand, watching the traffic and keeping one eye out for the mailman. "How's your mama, kid?" All the sisters called me kid. "And Winnie?" "Fine." "Heard anything?" I'd shake my head. I'd stay with her in the cool shade, picking at a piece of her chicken for a long rest before moving on. By the time the sun had moved across the elms on Chippewa Street, I had made it back down to Winnie's again. This day, Winnie was sitting in a rocking chair in her living room by the lace curtain windows, listening to one of her soap operas. "You see Mamie?" I nodded. "There's another Dr. Pepper in the icebox if you want it." I did. I opened it, and we sat there listening to, I don't know, My Gal Sunday. Suddenly, the organ music of the soap stopped, and the radio crackled with a man's voice. His exact words are lost somewhere in my old brain now, but Winnie's words are still in my head. Oh my God, Jerry, you better run straight home. Your mother may not be listening to the radio. I ran past one church after another. Bells were ringing, sirens across the city, screaming until my side hurt, and I hit my front porch. Mom was sitting by the radio with tears in her eyes. She grabbed me up. The waiting was over. Just before the leaves turned, my brother Jim was the first to enter the house, dropping his sea bag at my feet. He hugged my mother for what seemed an hour as I hugged his leg. Jim fell asleep that night on clean sheets. By spring, the other three boys came down the street and fell asleep on theirs. Mamie's boys, Pete and Frankie, came home safely, as did Winnie's, Bill and John, and all went on with their lives. August 1945. For the three sisters, the waiting was over.
Thanks for listening to On the Edge with J.P. Devine from Central Maine Sunday. On the Edge with J.P. Devine is sponsored by Sprague & Curtis Real Estate, the largest full-service real estate brokerage in Central Maine's capital region. Selling properties, helping people, getting it done. Visit their website at spragueandcurtis.com. Make sure you pick up Central Maine Sunday this week wherever newspapers are sold, and visit our website at centralmaine.com.